Thanks for being here. This is a webinar that I taught about a month ago on how to do the interview when recruiting real estate agents. I just wanted to give you an introduction to kind of what that is so that you knew going into it. But when team owners and brokerage owners want to grow their business and recruit real estate agents but don't know how to do it, I teach them how and I make them profitable as a result. So, if that is you and you're interested in growing your team or your brokerage, feel free to reach out to me. Everything that you hear in this video, I have built over a career of recruiting real estate agents. I added about 98 people into my downline in the previous year, which won me the number one recruiting award for a brokerage with 1,100 offices and 180,000 agents. So I had the growth partner of the year, which means I recruited more than anyone else in the entire brokerage. So thanks for being here. Reach out to me if I can help you guys, or you want help with me doing some of the recruiting for you. My email is paulgilsdorf1@gmail.com. I'll put in the caption of this video as well. But again, enjoy. Hope you learned something.
I'll explain to you the uh, the genesis of why we're having this this meeting. So I've been coaching since 2014, worked with hundreds and maybe thousands of teams over the years, and then hold on, approve. Good. So the challenge that I've found is I've read a few hundred P&Ls, I would say, in the last year. And what I've noticed universally is all of them are struggling with profitability. Like they're a lot less profitable, or unfortunately, some are nominally profitable, and there's a bunch that are actually losing money. What I've identified as the main reason is revenue coming into your company, right, to pay the expenses that you have is paramount to running a successful organization. So what has happened is because of the environment we're in, the average agent production that an agent would bring to a team has dropped off 50 to 100% or more. I'll give you some real numbers. Go back 5, 10 years ago, an agent on a team in their first year would produce 10 to 12 units for the team. After some training and skill, the second year, I've seen them at 20 to 24. Last year, if you don't know, the average agent in this country did about 6 transactions. So you can see if your revenue stream is cut by 50, 100% or more, you have so many fixed expenses, you can't reduce them anymore. The only solution to profitability is you're going to need more agents than you used to maintain your profitability goals on there. So we just need more bodies. As you guys probably heard the stat a bunch of times, 71% of agents didn't even sell a house last year, right? So it's an amount of finding these agents that we want. So I said, hey, Paul, because some of you guys may or may not know, is Paul's, I have to say, the best recruiter in the country. He's worked for three of the most biggest famous brands that you know. And every time he got hired, he brought in over 100, 120, 130, 140 agents in one year. The beauty of why I want to bring him on is the way he goes about it is very different than what you see in our industry. He doesn't have any software to sell you. He's not going to tell you you're going to have to hire a bunch of VAs. Paul brings in himself he sets 3 appointments a day, 5 days a week, without any technology, without a budget, without assistance. And he can easily average 10. And he's gotten so good. This month is going to be the best month of recruiting. He brought in 16 agents into his organization this month. And even more exciting, only 3 of them are new agents. So if you're looking to get any kind of results like this, Paul is graciously going to just share exactly what he does every day, how he does it. It's really just fundamental. It's no shiny penny. It's no new crazy techniques. Is if you follow what he tells you today, is the most precarious part of recruiting. If you guys are doing recruiting, you'll find you have no problem getting an agent on the phone and having a conversation. And a bunch of them will actually agree to meet with you. Where the fallout happens, excuse me, tremendously, is how do I get from the recruiting interview and get them onto my team? So Paul, again, I'll give you some of his stats. For every 3 of these agents he meets, one of them is going to join the team. Very, very good numbers on there. So he's going to share today. The purpose of this call is to teach you guys how to get those similar types of results with the agents that you're meeting with on your team. and then bring him to the team. Now, I'll give you a stat just to help you with recruiting again. Whatever your recruiting goal was for, say, this month or this year, you need to double it. Statistically, I'm a data-driven guy. 50% of all agents that come to your team, your organization, that tell you they're going to do the things that you need them to do to be successful are not going to do them. So if you need to bring in, 50 agents this year, you're going to have to recruit 100 agents, right? Or have 300 interviews based on Paul's numbers there. So about every 90 days, you're going to get rid of half the agents you brought in. Hopefully you have a standard. This is a big cornerstone of my coaching. A lot of teams and brokerages tell me they have a standard, but then I ask them if they're enforcing that standard, and they tell me, not really. So then I jokingly ask them if they're running their business on suggestions, and how is that going to work out for everybody? Not so well. So that's a little bit, and I think most of you guys maybe know me, right? I've been doing this for a long time, helping all these teams grow, scale, sell, and become more profitable. And Paul, in the last couple of years, has been a huge cornerstone of helping my organizations because of this need to bring in more quality agents who will produce and help us drive the revenue numbers we had, more than 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago on there. So, ladies and gentlemen, Paul Giltoff.
Yeah. Thank you, Mike. I appreciate it.
Yes, of course.
So I'm in Portland, Oregon, and I got my start in real estate through management and worked my way into recruiting. Unlike most people where you start out as a mega agent and then you kind of develop into management, mine was much different. So I did an MBA at Harvard and was working in corporate for a little bit, got into real estate, learned the management side, and found there was just a lack in recruiting. And so I got really intentional about one, having to find it out on my own because there's not really great resources out there of how to do this. And then two, scaling that. So I onboarded, like Mike mentioned, I will finish today at 16 onboards for the month of January. Three of those are new agents. 13 of them are transfers. And that's all of my stuff. That's not relying on other people's referrals or anything like that. That's cold one-on-one prospecting and then getting them into the interview. So I'm excited to be here and teach it. There's a lot of stuff that goes into recruiting. What we're focusing on today is specifically the interview. So what do we say? What do we do? How do we get them over the line to actually join our team? But I'm not going to go too much into the prospecting or the expectations or the follow-up or anything like that today. But we are going to teach future classes. So if that's something that you want to learn, let me know and we could probably teach it.
Actually, that would be a goal of mine. Like, if you guys see value in this, like my whole life is adding more value to others, and then the universe will reward me and whatever that means on there. So, yeah, if you see value and you want to learn other parts of the process that Paul crushes at this a similar high level, yeah, I'd be happy to do this in the next month or something like that if you guys want to do it. So, yeah, that's a good idea, Paul, because if they do struggle in the beginning, they got to get people to the interview. He can teach you how he does that so successfully, maybe in the future. So, yeah, thanks for offering, Paul.
Yeah, of course. So I'm
Mhm.
going to share my screen. I have a slide deck, but we're really not going to work off that too much. It's really just for reference so I don't forget anything. But we're probably going to bounce around a few times between the slideshow. And then I'm probably going to share a whiteboard on here and do some drawings with you guys and show you what I mean. But what we're going to do today is two steps. So number one, we're going to walk through what are my three steps of how I actually do the interview. What do I say? What are they going to feel? All right. How am I going through that process with them? A lot of this is NLP. So neuro-linguistic programming of having a conversation with them, making them feel warm and fuzzies, making them really feel heard. So we're going to talk about that. And then I'm also going to go into a second section of this interview, which is more of that NLP, like what's the psychology going on? And what do we have to make sure that we're guiding them through while we're doing that? People will choose to join your team completely based on how they feel. So if I offer someone a 90-10 split and all the perks in the world of a normal team, but they got the heebie-jeebies during our meeting, they're not going to join me. Versus if I have a really high split, but man, they felt heard, warm, they felt like they can accomplish this, they're very likely to join me. So I'm going to talk about that as well. But Mike touched on this already. There is conversion that happens here in recruiting. So just like being a real estate agent, I'm not going to expect every appointment you schedule will turn into a closing. So the math is, and I want you guys to do this math for your real numbers. For example, I think I saw the number in the chat of 10. So you want to onboard 10 agents this year. So this is what that looks like. And I'm going to start over here first. So if you onboard two agents, I'm going to expect on average, one of them will not stick around past 90 days. If that statistic is wrong, usually it's one of two things. One, which is the most common, is standards are not being held. All right, we have these expectations of you. You should be doing this. Oh, but your cat got sick this week. No worries. Last week you stubbed your toe. No worries. That's all right. It makes you uncomfortable. No worries. And so you end up with this team of people where you have an average of three closings per agent, right? And that also looks like 80% of the people who joined you are still there. Usually those two go hand in hand. The other end of this, which is less common, is if you onboard 10 people and only two stuck around, there's probably a culture problem going on there. And that's a different type of issue to identify, but that's less common. And so we're going to say if you want to onboard 10 agents, if you want to net 10 agents, we actually have to gross onboard 20. And so your 10 number just turned into 20 people that we actually need for a license transfer. I don't count and track these people until their license is landed in your brokerage, right? Otherwise, doesn't count. So here's the next part. You need 20 onboards to get that 10 net. One in three people that actually show up to an interview with you are likely to onboard. So if you need to gross onboard 20, I need you to attend 60 interviews this year, actually shown up with you. Here's the next part of this equation. 30% of your interviews aren't going to show up. And there's some math that goes on here too. If your number is higher than this, there's either, again, one of two things going on. Both are very common. Either one, we're not giving them enough value in our initial phone call with them for them to show up to the interview, or two, we're not giving them enough reminders. So either one of those, if it's missing, you'll end up with something like a 50% show rate or a 40% show rate. I try to coach people to get to a place of doing 70. This month I'm about 78, and that's unusually good for me. But we try to keep around 70. And so we're going to say if you need to attend 60 interviews and only 70 of them are going to show up, you actually need to schedule 86. So just like an agent, we have our goals here now. So Joe Schmo, you want to onboard 10 agents. I need you to go and schedule 86 interviews. And if you schedule 86 interviews, probably 60 of them will show up and attend with you. If you have 60 show up and attend with you, 20 will likely onboard to your team. If 20 onboard to your team, I'm going to expect you're going to actually keep 10 of them. 10 of them probably aren't going to be a good fit. And it's very, very difficult to predict who those people are. Any questions around that math? Pretty basic stuff there for tracking, and we do this all the time with our agents when we coach them.
Yeah, well, I'll just jump in. What Paul's describing, I'll just frame it slightly different. If I'm not sure if you all have heard the difference between leading and lagging indicators. So the agents joining your team are lagging indicators. We can't control that, but because now you know the math, the leading indicator that we can control becomes the most important number. Like in his example, how do we get in front of or communicate with 86 people on there? Because if that number is deficient, your output, your lagging indicator will be a lot less than that 10 in this example to bring your agents in. So it's uber important in my world to focus on crushing the leading indicator and have any chance of a lagging indicator to be what you're looking for on there. So that's where I would focus.
Yeah, good. Okay. All right. And I mentioned this part, but we're going to jump into it now. And I'm going to show you the three steps that we do for the interview. People are going to join you completely based on how they feel leaving that interview. Do they feel heard? Do they feel understood? Did they connect with you well? Did they feel like the culture and community that you have in your team is something that they want to be a part of? And did you spend the whole time pitching to them, right? If you have a slideshow for your interviews, please throw that away. And I'm going to teach you a whole different way today. Right. All right. So you mega agents out there that I mentioned earlier, most people take the path of being a mega agent and turning into a leader. You mega agents, I want you to take your knowledge of how you mimic the body language and the emotions, and you're looking at the disc profile for your buyers and sellers. That's exactly what we're doing for the interview side of things. So don't present to them. Do most of the talking, make them feel heard, and this should be a coaching session as well. So if you are a fantastic coach for real estate agents, you'll be a fantastic recruiter. All right, so three parts to this interview. My first section, and this is usually the first half of the interview, is just going to be asking them questions. So I want to learn everything about what were you doing before real estate? What did the past few years look like for you? Tell me about your brokerage. What are you looking for? And so there's a secret here. When we get into the next portion, which is pitching the team and telling them about who we are, this section, step number one, they're telling us exactly what to say. Right. So imagine going on a listing appointment. They say, well, I want the agent who's going to tell me that they're going to do this for marketing and they're going to hold 7 open houses and blah, blah, blah. Tell me about you. Well, I'm going to do that for marketing. I'm going to hold 7 open houses. Right. So that's exactly what's going on here. So, for example, those questions should be, tell me a little bit about what you were doing before real estate. What made you get your license? Okay. And what made you join XYZ brokerage? Okay. And how long have you been there? What did your take home pay look like last year? Okay. What would you like to be taking home this year? And here's a really powerful question that if you guys are taking notes, I want you to write this one down. Who's helping you with that? My who's helping you with that question, I would say 90% of the time they go, huh, I guess no one. And so it's a really good foot in the door there, where I can connect with them a bit better. Sometimes they'll be like, well, my aunt's licensed, blah, 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 but it's only partial. Right. Yeah, and Mike, I see your hand came up.
Yeah, just gonna I'll interject these little like coaching moments, like what Paul tells you. I'll give you the technical aspect of what he's sharing with you, why it's so important. So in all conversations, whether it's with the seller or with an agent on there, we want to be in control of the conversation. So in sales, I learned a long time ago, whomever is asking the questions has control of the conversation. So Paul's in complete control of steering this interview because he's asking these pointed, very, very chronological questions to a way that's going to lead the agent to a natural decision if they're a good fit on there. So it's uber important that you're not telling or letting them control the conversation too much. Then they may have a question or two, but the questions is the key to all success. I'll give you an example. When I go to a listing appointment, I never tell the seller what they should list their home for. I ask them a series of like 10 questions, and they always choose to list their home at market value. So it's their idea, not mine. So then the buy-in is 100% more. So very,
Yeah,
very important component of why he does that way to get the best result on there. So if you're not doing that, figure out how to change your dialogue into controlling questions to lead and then get the results you're looking for.
yeah, I agree with that. And comparing that back into the interview stance is asking them what type of environment is going to get you to the place where you're taking home your goal income. So you mentioned you want to take home 150,000 in 2026. What needs to change in order for you to accomplish that? And so they're going to start listing off the things that they're looking for and what's going to get them to say yes to actually signing up and joining your brokerage or your team. So, okay, tell me more about that, right? And we should be repeating things back to them. Got it. Okay, so your son started preschool last year, and that was really hard on you emotionally, so you didn't do a lot of work. Um, Tell me a little bit more about the environment that you were in out of your brokerage. Was anyone helping you get back on track? Right. So repeating back things, asking questions, making sure they feel heard. And this should be an interview that is very specific to them. So when we get to our pitch section, our pitch is going to be, oh my gosh, this structure is uniquely a really great fit for what you told me. And we're not lying to them. What we're doing instead is we are focusing on the section that they said is really, really important to them. So this is step two. Step two is going to be tying in the company and doing some business planning with them. So if Joe Schmo from XYZ is telling me, well, the reason I only closed 3 last year is I don't have any leads. I'm really looking for a structure that's going to give me leads. My current brokerage doesn't give me any. I know that I'm really task oriented. If I were to come in here and I had a pond of leads, I would do great. Right. And he's just kind of going on and on and on about that's what he's looking for. Joe Schmo, Oh my gosh, I have 2,000 leads in my pond. I would love to show you kind of what those look like. And I'll pull it up on my computer. I'll turn around my computer. So here, let me show you, for example. So Sally Sue registered and blah, 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 right? And so I walk him through that. And then I also talk about my other features. So by the way, Joe Schmo, we also have transaction coordination, listing coordination. We pay for your photography. We do a lot of hands-on coaching with you. But I'm not going in depth on those because Joe Schmo told me he doesn't really care about those. He really cares about the leads. And if he stops and he's like, "Oh, you do coaching, tell me more about that," then I'll go into it. But otherwise, if I'm spending a long time on the sections they don't care about, their eyes are going to roll in the back of their head. So comparing it back for you mega agents on your listing appointment, if the disc profile tells you this person really, really likes the numbers, you focus on the numbers. Don't go super in depth on the marketing, right? Because they probably don't care that much and you're going to lose their interest. We want to keep their interest here as much as possible. So we're very careful about that. But Mike,
Yeah, so I'll give you guys an idea. One of my other teams created this, so I'm not going to take credit for it. But in our industry, the term the pond, go to the ponds. Most agents have heard or learned correctly or incorrectly. Oh, that's where the old leads go. That's where all the bad leads go. So what my other team did is I don't know if you guys watched the interview, which I'd recommend between Alex Hormozy and Tony Robbins that was dropped, I think, last week. Great interview on there. And Tony was saying how important the language and the words you use really determines, like Paul's telling you, how you feel. So what we're doing with a bunch of my teams, instead of when we talk about these leads, Paul's talking about, instead of identifying them as the pond, where most agents have this negative connotation to pond leads, we reverse it and we call our pond the banks. So we're going to go to the bank to make more money. We're going to go to the bank and get a withdrawal on there. So psychologically, they're going there to make money, not to go there and try to call bad old leads on there. So words and emotion. So you want to make them feel more excited about calling pond leads. Reframe it. Stop calling it a pond. And what's another word? Banks could be one you could steal on there that they feel like they're going somewhere in a positive way. Not what they've been told from other agents, maybe not a great source to generate business from. Using the right words and the right language is super important.
yeah, thank you. So I've learned in the business relationship I have with Mike, I'm incredible about recruiting. Everything else, that is not my forte. Let me give it to Mike, right? Mike will teach you that part. But when it comes to recruiting, how do we prospect? How do we interview? How do we follow up and onboard? Man, I've gotten good at that. And so I've gotten really great at that lane because I found that there's a lack in this industry of that. But thank you. I appreciate the input. So during this step, we're focusing on the section that they told us they really, really care about. Being careful not to ramble too much. So don't go into a big rant about this is how great my team is, all that fun stuff. This total interview should be taking about 45 minutes. So 30 to 45, if it's a newer agent, it's shorter. It's more on the 20-30 side, but most of our interviews are experienced agents should be 45. If you're running into an hour and a half, you're probably not steering the conversation well enough, and we can work on that. The other important thing that we're going to do here is we're going to do the math with them. And so there's one important step, and I'm actually going to jump over to a whiteboard here. But there's one important step, which is the most common rejection we see for teams, which is splits. All right, well, I don't want to do a split. It's a 50-50. That's crazy for me. I've never, I'm at a 90-10 now, and I cap out at 5 grand. Okay, right. So Joe Schmo, how much did you take home last year? $25,000. Okay. What would you like to take home this year? And I do this on the back of a piece of paper with them and I send them home with it because it really helps for them to visualize this. And so I'm going to walk you through that actual role play. Okay, Joe Schmo, you would like to be taking home 125,000. So here's the math that I do on my team, and this is what I'm going to hold you accountable to. I'm going to expect that every 3 appointments that you schedule, you'll probably have one closing. So usually what happens is you schedule 3, one of them cancels on you or no shows, 2 of them show up. Good news for you is 80% of people hire the first agent they've ever met with, but people are going to get divorced and sign leases and blah, 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 right? So I need you to schedule 3 and you'll probably end up with one closing. Joe Schmo, do you think that you're capable of getting at least one person per week to say yes to you and schedule an appointment? Yes. Okay, cool. All right. I'm also going to expect, I'm going to move this down over here, but I'm also going to expect that you're probably going to take 4 weeks off this year, right? You're going to get sick. You're going to go on vacation. So I'm going to say you have 48 weeks. You've scheduled 48 appointments. And I'll take out my phone too and open the calculator app, or if you have a calculator, that's cool too. But I'll sit there and actually show them the math with this. Of okay, so we have 48 appointments. I'm going to expect you're only going to close 1 in 3 of those. So this should equal 16 closings. All right, Joe, what would you like to use as your average price point? I'm in Portland, Oregon. We're averaging about 570 here, but let me go a little lower and let me just say 400. So we're more universal for the country. So $400,000 average. Joe Schmo, what would you like to use as your average commission percentage? You could charge whatever you want, do whatever you want. This is a national call. I'm just going to use for a reference. I'm going to make up a number and say 2.77 chickens on average. And so we're going to say $400,000 and you're averaging 2.77. So you're going to be averaging about $11,080 per deal. You're going to close 16 of these. And I'm doing this math with them. So they're watching me write this out and I'm getting them to agree on each step. So we're going to close 16 of these. That's going to be 177,280. Right? Now, Joe, I'm going to take some money out of this. You're on a team. We're giving you these leads. If you close 16, it's probably because you're here. We do a 60-40 split with you. And so what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to say you're keeping 60%. So 60%, you have taken home 106,368. And then I circle it. So I circle their take home pay. Joe, what changes in your life if I could get you to a take home of $106,000 this year? Where does that money go? Who does that impact? So it's a little bit lower than your goal of the 125 you mentioned. All I need you to do to take home 106,000 is I need you to schedule one appointment a week, and that's 4 weeks off per year. And honestly, if you only took home 106,000 this year, I would be a little disappointed in you. I have people who close 2 to 3 appointments per day that they're scheduling on their calendar. All I need you to do is just one yes per week, and I'm going to teach you how to do that. So that's super, super impactful. Because they're tracking along with me of like, okay, what are my expenses? What is my percentage? They're agreeing with me. I'm asking them what they want to use for their average. I'm asking them what they want to use for their commission. So they agree on the whole step. And so this is impactful. And then I'm going to say a line again that really works well. Joe, if you took home only 106,000 this year, I would be a little disappointed. I think you should be able to take home 170, 180. So that works really well for them. This also, we went over our split in this and we flew through it. We didn't have a big conversation about the big scary split, right? We mentioned it for maybe 10 seconds. And I prefaced this beforehand where when I'm talking about the team, well, Joe, it's going to be a lot more expensive than where you're at now, but you're going to have a lot higher of a take home pay. So I've probably dropped that into my conversation 2 or 3 times before we ever got to the math. And then we're going to show them the math with $106,000 of take home. This has gotten me over the split objection more than anything else that I've ever tried. And so try this next time you guys are working with someone. If you're on a team structure where you have that split, even if you're recruiting to a brokerage that has normal splits, I would still try this. Great. Okay. Let me hop back over here. But that's a really powerful thing that I wanted you guys to take in of what that looks like. All right. So we did step one. We did step two.
Let me interject
Yep.
there. So two
Fine.
two things again. So when I would deliver that number, based on what Paul's telling us, all decisions, even your highest analytic, makes their decisions based on emotion, right? Not logic. So when I would show them, if it was me interviewing that 106,000, hey Paul, how does that number make you feel? What are you feeling right now? And like Paul said, what would your life look like? Then I might expand that, what does your family's life look like? What does your kids' life look like? when last year you made on average 25, 30,000, if you could bring in nearly 100,000 more than that, what does life look like then? And how does that new life make you feel on there? Yeah, I would love the opportunity to help you achieve that goal and improve all those things in your life because it feels to me that this would be a huge win for you and your family. Would you give me permission to help you achieve this goal? So now I'm starting to, in the future, pacing him to accountability, right? He's giving me permission to help him to achieve this goal. The other thing that Paul spoke about that is also killer of all great leaders, coaches, think about sports teams is they often believe more in their players, your agents, than they believe in themselves. And that is often the catalyst to get people to show up and produce more because someone actually believes that they can do 170 or 180. Because this gentleman in this example made 25, 30,000 last year. 180 seems like some pie in a number only the highest top producers ever make. And when Paul explains that in his organization, there are a number of agents already making that goal achievable. It becomes, you guys know the Roger Bannister story. Maybe you guys are younger, maybe not. I'll share with you. So, no one in this country ran a 4 minute mile ever. They thought if you ran that fast, Shayna, you would die. You would have a heart attack. Your limbs would start falling off. A human can't run that fast. Then Roger Bannister ran the first 4 minute mile. And what happened the following year? Dozens and dozens of people got over the psychology that a human can't do that. And they were running 4 minute miles. So believing and at the interview that you can get them to places they believe they never could because you see something in them is huge in the psychology of getting them on your team. So I would definitely focus on that as a huge win. And think about great coaches. Like right now, I'll give you one more example. They're firing a lot of football coaches that football teams didn't do good. They're going to bring in a new coach next year, maybe change a few players and leave most of the players there. But that coach will be able to get more out of those same players by believing in them and the organization and whatever he's going to bring to the table. So that's a very important component I would definitely focus on a little bit at that point.
And Notre Dame should have been in the playoffs. I'll tell you. All right. Well, good. Well, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that, and that's true. Working on the psychology with him, helping them envision it, and helping them see it's real, right? So the line of, I would be disappointed if you only took home that. Also, find out the average income on your team last year. If you have an impressive average income, throw that in. You know, Joe, we had an average income on this team of 140,000. So if we're hitting your goal of taking home 120, you're actually a little bit below average for us. That hits really well. Just make sure that's true first before you say it. Yeah. And I'll even ask them, I'm like, are you used to being below average in the jobs you had before real estate? It works. All right. So we've done the first two steps. Ask them a lot of questions, find out what they're looking for, tell them we have what they're looking for, and show them the math. That's the pitch part of our team. The third part is closing. All right. When you go on a wonderful listing appointment and they say, great, this is everything we're looking for. We love you. Wonderful. We close it. We say, wonderful. Press hard, right? Sign here. There's two copies. And we do not say, wonderful, here's my business card. Let me know if you have any questions. I'll give you a call next week. So that's the part that a lot of people forget about in the third stage of the interview, which is close them. Sign the paperwork in person if you're able to with them. I'm expecting 1 out of 3 people that you sit down with and actually show up will actually join. Half of those 1 in 3 people that join will sign in person in the room with you. If you're saying, man, that's bonkers, I have no clue how that could happen, you're probably not trying for the close. And I think you'll be really surprised if you start trying for the close. So here's how I do the close. I get affirmation from them. So Joe Schmo, you told me you're really looking for leads. I walked you through the lead program we have. Is that something that would be a good fit for you? Okay, great. I showed you the accountability of what we require for our team. Is that something you're capable of committing to? Okay, and we talked about, that average income of 140. Your goal is 125, and I showed you a pretty easy path to get there by doing a little bit over 1 appointment per week. Is that something you're capable of? Okay, what I'd like to do, I think that you'd be a good fit for this, and it sounds like this is the right fit for you. Is this something you want to do? And I'll pause there and I'll let the silence be awkward and I'll wait for a response. And if I get a yes, great. I have the paperwork. Let's go ahead and get you in because I want to get you to this onboarding we have tomorrow or this awesome meeting that we have tomorrow. But that way we can really start. So I have found the conversion is really, really important for this. If someone says to you, yeah, it sounds really good. Let me talk to my wife first. Or let me just run the numbers. Let me think about it. I have another interview coming up. I need you to do something really, really important, which is schedule a second step. Because if you leave them just to sit in their thoughts and talk to their spouse and do the math, they're going to come up with reasons not to join you. So if they give me that objection, I completely agree. You know what? What I'd like you to do is I want you to meet with my sales manager, John, and just make sure that's a good personality vibe. Or it totally makes sense. I'll tell you what, Tuesday at 10 o'clock, we have our weekly meeting. I want you to come and just kind of shadow. Feel free to sit in the back of the room, but I want you to see the culture and just make sure that that's something that's a good fit for you before we do this. So it gives them a second step and it future paces them instead of letting them just think about it because they're thinking about it will ultimately be an objection.
Paul, let me interject just another NLP technique that you can pepper in here. I use this always whenever I talk to agents, clients, buyers, sellers. So the technique is this, Shayna, is I'm going to ask the person controlling the conversation. I'm going to use open-ended questions and ask the person a question. No matter what the answer is that they give me, Shayna, I'm going to ask them if I heard them correctly. Oh, so I'm hearing you correctly. You made just over 25,000 last year? The only answer to that question is yes, Shayna, right? I'm going to ask them another question. And just like you're doing now, I'll be nodding my head with them. Oh my gosh, so that was, you said about 14 units? Yeah, 14 units. Oh, okay, great. So there's a technique in NLP called pace, 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 lead. And what it says is if I can get another human to say yes to me one, two, three, or more times in a row, when I ask them the action I want them to take at the end of this interview, hey, it seems like the natural next step is just to get you to okay this agreement and get you on the team, right? And because they're in this yes mode and I'm doing mirror and matching and they're bobbleheading me, like, yeah, yeah, very easy. If you don't get them to say yes to you throughout the interview, if you're talking to a seller or a buyer and you got your one big yes bomb you're hoping to get at the end, you'll have a much lower conversion rate. So every time I communicate, I use this ask open-ended question, reflective listen back, ask them if I heard that correctly. They will say yes every time. And I've got them in this mode of affirming that this yes, 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 and the close becomes extremely easy at the end because they're in this affirmation of yesing, saying yes over and over again. And I got them nodding yes, so physically they're yesing all the time. So you can use that across the whole board anytime you're communicating with someone that you need them to take an action you'd like them to take.
Yeah, good. Okay, well, thank you, Mike. I appreciate it.
Mhm.
So on NLP, I'm gonna show you guys something. So we spent the first part of this talking about what are the three steps of how we do this interview. So I'm gonna spend the next few minutes giving you guys something that I am super excited about, and this is gonna be like a bombshell for you. Somebody explained this to me last year, and I was like, oh my gosh, I have never heard that before, and that makes so much sense. And so let me show you. It's gonna be called the four quadrants. So here's what this looks like. This is the way that you are guiding them through the interview and the chronological steps that you're doing it. So the first step that we're doing is when we initially meet with them. This is going to be their neutral, I'm spelling that wrong, neutral present, right? So tell me about where you are right now. Okay, you're at XYZ. It's not bad. You like them. Your brother's sister is the principal broker. All right. But we're going to lead you into the negative present next. So, okay, so you've been at XYZ for 3 years. You only took home $25,000. Um, nobody's helping you with leads. You don't have any coaching. It's not looking good, right? 3 years and kind of flat business, and you've actually been declining. So we bring them from a place of, yeah, where I'm at's fine. I don't hate it. I like the people there to a place of, I really shouldn't be here and my business kind of stinks because I'm here. This next part is the part that most people skip. And so this next part is the negative future. Most people forget about doing this in the interview, but this brings them from a place of my brokerage is fine. I really need a change. Joe, what happens if you only take home $25,000 again this year? Are you going to stay in real estate? You're probably going to have to pick up another job, and then we're going to live in that for a little bit. What type of job are you going to get if you end up leaving real estate? You have to go back to being an accountant. Did you like being an accountant? Okay, whose life does that impact if you have to do that and you kind of lose that flexibility? So we live in that negative future for a second of if you don't change, this is what your life is going to turn into. You need radical change in order to accomplish your goals. Because the people meeting with us that are interested in joining our team or brokerage, it's very unlikely they just had the best year of their life. It's probably not why they're meeting with us, right? And so we get them to the next place, which is a positive future. So positive future is where we get into step two of, okay, great. Let me talk to you about who we are, what we do. Let me show you the math and get you to a place of $120,000 a year of income. And let's live in that for a little bit. So I want you to chronologically walk people through these mindsets and this thought process as you're going through the interview. And so we should end up living here, but we started here and be really careful not to skip the negative future. So I know you like XYZ and you're best friends with the people there, but man, I don't want you to go back to being an accountant. And that sounds like it stinks. You're going to have to put your kids in daycare. So just live in that for a little bit. Um, but that's the basis of the very short version, how we do an interview, what I do to get my conversion to the level it is. Um, Mike and I mentioned that in the future, we'll probably teach more of these classes. And one thing that I've done is Mike coaches a lot of the top teams in the entire country, a lot of agents, and he's tapped me on the shoulder anytime somebody needs help with recruiting, and I'll help them lift up and scale their systems. And so, what I'm willing to do, because I have some availability for this, is going into just doing a strategy session for free. Usually I charge $1,000 for this, but if you guys wanted to do a strategy session, then this is a QR code to scan and just submit your information. We'll hop on a Zoom. We'll spend 30, 45 minutes just kind of going through where are you guys at? Where do you want to go? What's standing in your way? And I'll answer some questions that are more unique to you guys. And again, not going to charge you for it. Usually I charge $1,000 to do these, but I have the availability to do it. And I'm trying to grow my network. So that's part of what we're doing here today. So if you're interested, or if you're on Zoom land and you're watching the recording, feel free to scan this and would be happy to have a conversation with you.
Yeah, actually, I can't let Paul stand me up, so I'll put my email address here in the chat. Same offer. If you're not already working with me and you've got some questions more on the business side, profitability, structure, whatever, that stuff, yeah, feel free. I'm good. Same as Paul. I don't have a lot of time, but I could pepper in a couple calls, next week or something if you want to hop on a quick call. And often on these calls, I'll share like if it could be your biggest opportunity or your biggest challenge. Not that I'm any smarter than anyone in the room, but I think I've had at least 35,000 calls with team leads and agents and all this other stuff. So I probably know the solution very quickly to what you might be stuck on. So same as Paul, I'm more than happy to help you get through that little speed bump or hurdle on a quick call there. So yeah, feel free. If you want to reach out, at least I'll reach out to you and schedule some time so I could help you with that. And that'll be very fulfilling actually, because I love helping people. So awesome.
Good. Well, we have some time left in this, and so I wanted to open this up to what questions do you guys have, or what are you struggling with that I can help just kind of answer some stuff. Neil, I saw a hand go up.
Yes, sir. I'm kind of curious, with the whole thrust of AI, and I know that there are some AI companies out there that are promoting themselves to have effective recruiting systems using an AI. I guess my question is, what are your thoughts on that versus the human side of the equation?
I have tried out a lot of things. I have never seen anything work ever. And I don't want to name drop names because we're on a public forum here, but I've probably looked into five, six different of the large programs. I have never seen a single one of them actually work. Either you get high cancellation rates and they're going to schedule you 7 interviews, but one's going to show up and they're a terrible fit. Or they just kind of don't perform, or everyone they get you is interested in getting their license. So the way that I prospect is very human. I don't spend any money for anything I do. So Mike mentioned earlier in the call, I'm going to end today with 16 onboards in the month of January. Not a single one of them did I pay to get a lead in there. I don't pay for Indeed ads. I don't pay for any of the AI stuff.
Yeah, I
Thank
can.
you.
Yeah.
Last question on that. So the profiling of the agents that you're focusing on, is there a certain criteria, number of deals, if their deals are trending up or down, number of years in the business, certain companies?
I recruit both for individuals to our brokerage and I recruit to a team that we own. For the team specifically, I get faster revenue from people with production. So I like the transfer agents that are coming from somewhere else that have closed deals before, and I don't need to teach them how to open a lockbox. All right. So out of my 16 this month, only three of them are new agents, and all three were just solos to the brokerage. So the experienced ones are awesome. As long as someone's competent and capable, I'll take them. But I love focusing on those people with like three, four transactions that want to get to a place of doing 15, 20.
Yeah, if you take that, Neil, you take that stat I mentioned earlier, 71% of agents, mostly the newer ones, didn't sell a house last year. So at least you know they can sell a house in today's environment if they've done some production. It's a you'll have a little better sticky rate there.
Oh, that's great. Appreciate that, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, of
Yeah,
course.
of course. Jillian, I saw your hand come up.
Hi, yes, thanks for doing this, by the way.
Yeah.
So if you don't spend any money on getting these recruits, what are you doing?
Yeah. So actually, I forgot to mention it earlier. Mike and I are going to teach a class on that. So
Okay,
how
cool.
to prospect for recruits. So if you haven't already, do the QR code, and then I'll make
Okay,
sure everyone that does that gets the link for it.
okay,
But
cool.
I I do three main things. Number one, cold calling. So I need to onboard a minimum of 120 people per year from my own efforts to hit my goals. And so I need to schedule 3 interviews per day. Cold calling people at especially struggling brokerages is my fastest way to get experienced agents. I'll do a mass email campaign as well, and I have a pretty simple way of doing that, which is doesn't need any pictures. Don't make it look like a marketing email. It needs to look like it personally sent everyone an email, but I get good results from that. And then I do free Indeed post. So I've learned Indeed's algorithm pretty well, and I can do good posts that I'll get 20, 30 applicants to. Granted, 20, 30 applicants, only two of them are in classes or licensed already, but it's free and it's just kind of in the background as I'm doing things.
Mm.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all.
And
If you
you'll show
guys,
that on your next training, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
and I'll share so that what Paul is explaining is universal. Even your emails outside of recruiting efforts is this day and age with all the spam filters and everything. If you're dropping in links and videos and making these emails look a little scary to the people that monitor them, your spam filter, well, the ones going to spam will be higher, the deliverability will be lower. So the black and white text with none of that stuff in there does score with the highest open rates in today's environment.
Yeah. And I'll name drop because it's a positive thing this time. But if you have a BombBomb account, BombBomb sends out email campaigns as well. They do a great job getting past spam filters.
Yeah, and the other, I'll give you another one that just because I met with them at an event once. So from what they tell me, not, you have to verify, but Constant Contact claims they have the highest deliverable rate out here with all those services that can help you with email. So you
Yeah.
can take a look at that.
Okay,
Good.
cool.
Mark, I see your hands up. What can I help you with?
Thanks, Paul. And thanks, Mike, for putting this together, and thank you for your personal help to get me in when I was struggling. um, I have two questions. I'm going to leave with the first one. Early in the conversation, you said only 50% of the people are going to make it past the first 90 days, and
Mhm.
it's very difficult to tell which ones they are. I love that you said that. My business partner and I we're doubling down on recruiting this year. We recruited 20 organically with no effort, no calling last year, just attraction. And our
Okay.
goal is 40 this year to net 15. So I think we're on the right we're on the right track of just like where we want to be, and it meets the numbers. But I guess my question to you is how do you approach these people without that lens of, hey, I'm not sure if they're going to make it or not? Where does that line land between fit and standard and that, or do you just let everybody in and let onboarding kind of
So I'm
figure it
going to
out?
answer this team wise because a brokerage, your license, I'll let you in, right? But team, we're very careful. And so this is something I said earlier of like nobody really teaches stuff like this. I had to do it from trial and error. I have probably attended 1,500 interviews in the past few years. And I have found the people that I think are going to be fantastic, a lot of times they aren't. And then people that I'm like, I don't know if I want to hire you. Like, you're kind of weird. A lot of times they're good. And so I and everyone that I've talked to about this, I cannot predict who's going to be good or not. My filters of whether you can join my team or not, do you speak English? Do you have a real estate license? Are you full-time for a team? Or if you have a part-time job, my one exception is you have to sign an agreement with me that you're going to quit your job within 90 days, and we're going to identify the date, and I'm going to remind you as we're approaching. That's the only time I've ever seen that work. But otherwise, you come in and you're like, I have 5 kids. I'm a single dad. I have another job. I can maybe do 5 hours a week. Not a fit for the team, but I'll put you in my ref share. Let's talk about the company.
Yeah, we actually had one agent, that brand new agent, joined us in February, works full time for the government, but had a little bit of flexibility. Closed 15 deals in her first 10 months,
Oh,
and 14 of them were online leads. So she's a monster. To your
yeah.
point, I would have let her in, but we are becoming more selective of part time.
Mhm. And we're doing averages. So it's very, very likely there will be a 2% that will be like that. However, as a business decision, I'm going to get rid of the 98% who won't.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I appreciate that. That was very helpful, practical.
Mhm.
Yeah, let me add to that. So I learned, Mark, after some statistics I've learned from the U.S. military and the NFL, who do and spend more money on recruiting. Like they in the NFL, they track these kids from high school now, I think, and how high can they jump and how far, all that. Same with the military, don't want to be a Navy SEAL. So their success rate is only 25%. And they have all the money and all the resources. The example I always give here, I don't know if you guys are football fans, or the Tom Brady. The New England Patriots drafted another quarterback that year to be on their team and run the team, and he was going to be, the greatest thing. And Tom was recruited number, I think it was 100 that year in the NFL. No one saw the talent there, and if you follow football, he's the most successful quarterback of all time, I would say, on there. So there's no way of knowing, Mark. But
Yeah,
Three Filters is a book you can read on this. It's called The Ideal Team Player. And
yeah, I love it. One of my
yeah,
favorite books.
yeah, so
Yeah,
three characteristics I do look for because I've learned, Mark, if they're missing one of these, probably not going to work out. If they're missing two of these, never going to work out. So the three thing characteristics I'm looking for on the interview are they're hungry. Like they need to make money. They need this job, right? If they've got a very rich or successful spouse or they're living at home and their parents, they have no bills, very hard to get them into production. So I love when they have a baby, they just bought a new house or right, they're hungry. So no hunger,
hmm,
no sales. Number two is
yeah,
they're humble. This is a team environment. You bring in some lone wolves, some ego-driven, narcissistic people into your team, and you might as well just pull a hand grenade and throw it in the office daily. So there's got to be some humility and humbleness there to come into my organization. Number three is they're smart. But as much as we're talking about IQ smart, it's more EQ smart. They understand their role. They understand what they need to do. They understand the environment after I describe it to them. So again, if I feel like I'm missing one or two of those, it's probably a no for me on a team model. Brokerage is you don't know
yeah,
it all and you throw them in there. So that's a little bit of a filter, but yeah, you like to everyone's point here. There's an agent that you thought wouldn't do much, couldn't do much, and all of a sudden they're crushing it. And I give you an example. I coached this kid, right? Small town in the middle of Idaho. I mean, like in the middle of a very small area. I think we got to start working with him when he was 20 or 21. Okay. How many units you think he'll do this year? 21, 22-year-old kid in rural Burley, Idaho. Over seven,
man.
over 70.
I was going to say 30, but daggone.
270 units, right? So yeah, don't judge. If they're showing up on time, they're look like they really want this job. I say just throw them in the deep end, and 50% of them will make it to the side. The detriment on the team model, mistake I see all the time, is oh they're nice and I like them and they match our culture. Don't start collecting agents who are not producing.
Yeah.
Bigger
Yeah.
teams, I see 30, 40% of the roster didn't sell a house in 12 months. You can't afford that because it's the 80-20 rule, Pareto's principle. That those agents on the bottom are taking up all your time. They're the ones stirring the pot. They're the ones who always have a problem. Those are the ones that complain about the leads, right? So it's the leads the problem, not them, even though they're not calling the leads, they're still bad leads. And you
Yeah.
know, that's
Yeah.
toxic. You can erode your culture very quickly by letting them stay. Because most people feel bad about the person. They're worried about the person I'm going to let go, right? Because they're a nice person. The detriment is everyone in your organization, Mark, is looking at you and looking at you as a weak leader. You said you had a standard, but you're not enforcing it. So, hey, they don't have to do the things. So I'm going to do less of the things, or I'm going to stop doing the things. And you now get this culture of not doing the things they should be doing because you're allowing it. So that's very weak leadership. And that's what the mistake I see is they're afraid to let them go. Main reason why they haven't mastered Paul's skills and they don't know how to create a recruiting pipeline to replace those half that we have to let go. So they hope and pray it might work out. If it's not good in the
Scarcity
first
and
few
fear of
months,
failure.
it's
Yeah.
never going to work out. So,
Yeah.
yeah, some insights there.
Awesome.
Great.
Great. Paul, I don't know if you have time. The list, when you say you're cold calling, you're not spending any money on tools. So we're at a point where I'm like, where am I going to pull my data of the agents in my market and the right phone numbers to reach them? What's your tool?
Title company. And if a title company comes back and says, with our MLS, we're not allowed to, they'll slap our wrist, ask your second place title company and they'll give it to you.
Great. Man, gold, bro. Appreciate you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Free. It's free.
Well, I hope this was value. I'm very respectful of time. So I think we said we're going to do this from 10 to 11. It's 11 o'clock now. So, yeah. So hopefully, again, this is just how you do it. No, nothing crazy, nothing, no technology, no nothing. It's just the fundamentals. And what I coach in business are the fundamentals. And they work the best. So, yeah. Glad that Ethan, thank you so much. Everyone that joined. I think I like the group is smaller. We can answer all the questions
Yeah.
and specific
Thank
value.
you, guys.
All right, go
Yeah.
now. Wait, let me tell you one more thing. I teach us about coaching. You guys did not learn anything today. I might surprise you. What do you mean? The learning comes when you actually practice, apply, role play, all the things Paul described. That's where the learning starts. For agents, Shana, right? Oh yeah, I did a training. I taught them open houses last week. I'm teaching them how to do work their sphere this week. If you don't have practice sessions in between the training to see if they actually picked it up, you're going to be very disappointed to realize most of them, because they didn't practice or implement, didn't learn anything from us. Because the forgetting curve says they're going to forget everything you said in about a week. So go back and apply this. Try some of Paul's techniques, and that's when your skills will really start to develop.
Yes.
Awesome, guys. Thanks again.
Thanks,
Great
guys.
meeting everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So long,
Thanks for
guys.
being here.
Take care. Thanks,
All
guys.
right. Bye-bye.